Hafade, Wahusi Kini Tori. My name is Kini Tori. I am CHamoru. I'm from Guam. So I greet you in the CHamoru language. For me, the kingfisher growing up back on Guam was mostly marked by its absence. When you go into the jungle, or when you think about like the wilderness on Guam, it's silent, which is so different now. Which to me is quite a sad thing because you hear stories of the Sihek as well as other birds that are on the island, but they weren't there anymore. It's kind of sad.
I'm Ali Abel. I'm the aviculture manager. The kingfishers, the Sihek, were driven to extinction in the wild in the 40s with the introduction of a venomous arboreal snake known as the brown tree snake.
Bliss Kapner, and I'm a primary aviculturist. I am their primary keeper, so I take care of them every day. I do all the feeding, the cleaning, keep track of their nesting. So Guam Kingfishers, they eat a variety of things. So they eat anoles or small lizards. We feed them pinky mice and fuzzy mice. They also get insects, so they'll get mealworms and crickets. And something that they like to do with the anoles is they'll actually like take them in their beak and like slap them on a perch. So that's really cool to see when they're eating.
I have felt very connected to our work with the Sihek here. We had a brand new pair that was introduced right around the same time that I was introduced here, and their first chick in 2016 or 2017 was one of my first significant hatches from any of the species that I had worked with personally here at the aviary. We have one of those male offspring that was produced here moved to the national aviary, and he's fathered a couple chicks, I think, so far. Thinking about that happening eventually someday in the wild, our birds contributing directly to eggs that'll be raised and sent to Palmyra Atoll to then have their own chicks, who either they or their own chicks might eventually go back into the wild. That feels just very, very directly connected to conservation in a way that just feels a little more like personal.
My name is Parker. I am a horticulturist here at Tracy Aviary and Botanical Garden. I manage the plant collections inside Treasures of the Rainforest. Some projections say that across the world, 2 in 5 species of plants are at risk of extinction. And one of the ways to mitigate that is conservation through cultivation. So right now we have 2 plants that grow on the island of Guam. One of them is endemic to the island, so it exclusively grows on the island of Guam and the island of Rota. And then one of them is a Southeast Asian, South Pacific native plant that grows on a lot of islands in the area, including Guam. So kind of across the aviary, one of the plant focuses that I want to try and implement on a larger scale is bringing plants that tie into the birds that are in our care. This brings more context about the birds, it shows the ecosystem the birds are from, and it can also tie that to the communities that are part of the places where these birds would live in the wild. In the rainforest in particular, there's a lot of great potential here to have this be a space where people from tropical places all over the world are able to come in and find a little slice of home here in the Utah desert. It's a very humid place, and with the tropical bird calls, all of the beautiful plants everywhere, it's a very lush environment that you really can't find here in Utah too much.
So from what I understand in the stories, the Sihek would be in the jungle and they used to be very loud birds. You can hear them from across the jungle. And if people would go out and try to find them, they would hear the voice echo throughout the jungle, and it would fly to a different spot, and then they would go a different direction, and that's people would get lost in there. From what I understand, the Sihek's a teacher about how you have to understand indigenous protocols about how to navigate on the island in order to survive and be safe. And also to school unyieldy children to make sure they follow instructions.
Kasalelia, Malolele. My name is Kehau Falau, Kehaulani Falau. I was born and raised in Rose Park, but my mom is from Pohnpeian, Tingala Pohnpeian. and then my dad's Tongan. So I grew up in Rose Park on the west side of Salt Lake City and was constantly riding my bike down Jordan River. The thing is, I never knew there were kingfisher birds until last year when you hosted the talk with Dr. Devi Takaili, and he did his presentation on his ancestor Hikuleo. Hikuleo, which is a Tongan ancestor. And then Hikuleo comes in the vaka or the vessel of Sikota, which is the kingfisher bird. And so, I mean, that was my first encounter that I remember. I don't ever remember like them flying around when I was a kid, but now as an adult and knowing that point of reference, I feel like I'm constantly looking for their relatives.
For me, the story of the Sihek, without thinking about their resurgence right now, it's quite sad. Brown tree snakes came to Guam in the 1940s after World War II, ended off of military ships. Since then, the brown tree snake population has exploded on the island in tandem with military deforestation of the island, as well as the acceleration of climate change, which to me indicates that the dwindling Sihek population is a sign directly embodies colonization on the island. For me, that's important to answer the question about what does it mean for local communities here, for like myself, who's Micronesian, CHamoru in Salt Lake City of all places, is this idea that indigeneity can be resilience, we can make connections with others here on this land, and that indigenous people, indigenous culture cannot return to what it was necessarily in the past. It could be something different, but it can still be vibrant.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like here we are meeting our different relatives, you know, and then also seeing like the Guam Kingfisher here through these efforts, or even the Sikota's relative along Jordan River. I think thinking of like the ecological responsibilities that we have not only to our homelands but to the lands here, like I think it opens a lot of opportunities of community building, not only within the Micronesian community, but with the natives here, with others who are championing the efforts of conserving the lives really of these birds.